Welcome to Yoga Biz Studio, a bi-weekly broadcast of 10 to 30 minutes in length, hosted by me, Carla Wilson, owner of Wilson Media Services, and also by my colleague,
Keely Mitchell, owner of Z Living.
On each of our shows, we like to share with you business, legal, and marketing insights for yoga business, yoga studio owners, and independent yoga teachers. For this show, we employ Google Plus Hangouts on Air, so you will be able to see below the video player a little Q&A panel if you are watching our show on our Google Events page. You may also be watching our show via our website at Yoga Biz Studio or on our YouTube page. If you're watching either via our website or YouTube, please click on the little yellow graphic at the bottom of the video player. That will navigate you over to the event page where there is a Q&A panel for you to enter questions. We are notified when those questions come in, so we'll do our best to answer them live on the show. The other cool thing about this is that the video from the show is archived on our website, so even if you weren't able to watch the show live, you can watch it after the fact. So, again, very cool reason why we use Google Plus Hangouts on Air. Today's topic is an important one, and it really concerns not just yoga business owners, but business owners in general, or anybody that has a website, and that topic is search engine optimization. I felt this was an important topic to cover because I recently learned that Google made some changes to the way that it's ranking websites, and it was my plan to do some research and then come on the show today and say, hey, we need to talk about this, but then I realized that I have an expert in my network that I'd rather have come on the show and talk more intelligently about this subject because I know that he's an expert. So I would like to please welcome Mark Boyd of Mind Development and Design to the show. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much, Carla, and thank you, Keely, too.
Yes, welcome. We're happy to have you.
I'm glad to be here. My favorite topic we're talking about today.
See, it's not exactly my favorite topic, so that's why you're the expert, and that's why you're going to be talking with us and our viewers today. So I'm just going to give you a quick background about why I chose Mark today. The main reason, pardon me, that I learned about Mark is that weekly they produce a podcast called the Mind Your Business Podcast. I listen to it religiously when I'm walking, and Mark talks about all kinds of internet marketing strategies that a small business owner, the steps they can take to improve their internet marketing presence, even if Mind Development and Design is not their client, which I just think is so awesome. You know, he can give you the tools and the questions to ask your own web developer so that you're understanding what's happening with your internet marketing. So I thought, number one, that's very cool in my book that he's just out there to help people. The second reason is, well, you know, Mark and I have an appreciation for musicians in a certain era. I guess what I'll just say is that Mark and I listen to a lot of the same artists, so he has a lot of references to people like Elvis Costello and Ray Davies and all of my favorites, so what's not to love? So, Mark, welcome again to the show.
Thank you very much. I get a kick out of finding songs to provide soundtrack for different topics because they're out there. I mean, they're all out there, and the funny thing is, they're rock songs, yes, but there are some lines that you take from them that sometimes are funny and sometimes put in this context, they come across as being more philosophical than they were ever intended, and I don't know, the irony of that I get a kick out of, and whenever somebody laughs along with me, it just really warms my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'm to the part where I don't have a script for the rest of the time.
We winging it. We're gonna wing it.
We're gonna wing it from here. But I know that we decided, you know, we really need to go all the way back to even defining what SEO is, what search engine optimization is, why should we be concerned about it as business owners or those of us with websites. So why don't we just start there? Why don't you define SEO, search engine optimization?
Absolutely, and I think it's the best starting point, especially because we're talking about small business ownership here. The truth of the matter is, and I know you, Carla, and you, Keely, have gotten these calls before, and probably most people listening have gotten calls before from people that make it sound like they're with Google, and sound like they're partnering with Google, there are people ready to take advantage of you under the guise of SEO when you're a small business. Unfortunately, that's excuse me, that's just the way it is. And one of the big reasons that we wanted to do the Mind Your Business podcast is we're covering all bases of development, design, and all that, but there is an emphasis on SEO there because we do want to educate people. And the starting point today, I want to define what SEO is, and then the next time you hear anybody say SEO is dead, feel free to have a nice laugh along with me with that, because SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. And to break it down to the ridiculous, if you are a business owner and you want your website to be found online, do you need to be found by the search engines? Answer to that question, yes.
Yes.
Does your website need to be optimized properly, keyword properly, to be found by the search engines?
Yes.
Yes. Will that ever change?
Oh, all the time.
Well, but I mean, the basics of it is you want to be found, and you have to know how to do the right things to be found, to optimize. So search engine optimization, the concept itself will never die. The problem is SEO is associated with spam so much of the time. So the key to remember is search engine optimization. You need it for your website. There are advanced techniques that, honestly, as a small business, you may not have the budget for it. But there are things that you can do in the meantime to make sure that you're getting the most out of what you have. And the number one, I cannot stress this enough, the number one thing I would say to all of you listening for your business, make sure you claim your local listings. Don't assume that because you Google your business name or go to Bing or Yahoo, whatever, and wow, I'm showing up there, they have a spot for me on the map. Yeah, in case you haven't noticed, Google has pretty much the whole earth mapped, and they know where we are. Now, they probably know what I'm going to have for dinner tonight.
Big Brother at its finest.
Absolutely. But they can scrape enough data about you online, either off of your website or wherever you show up. They can scrape enough data to put together a basic profile, but that's not a profile you've claimed. And the information, A, is very often not going to be complete in the least. It's going to have the bare bones information on it. And B, it's not going to, the information itself could be actually wrong. It could have scraped your old business hours. It could have your old business address. It could have your old business name showing up at the address where you are now, and you're thinking, well, I haven't called my business that in 5 years. Now we're called this. I mean, any number of things could be wrong. So all you have to do is go to Google and just Google the phrase "Google my business."
Google my business. Okay.
Yep. It used to be maps and places, and then your Google Plus business profile, and Google's kind of has mashed all that into one. And you can find that by just going to Google My Business. Go through and fill out your profile. Fill it out completely. Have pictures, have logos, make sure your business hours are complete. The more complete that your profile is filled out on there, the better, because you see how it shows up when people search for you. And people can contact you before they even go to your site. Potentially. I mean, most people are going to want to check out your site first, but the potential is there in the knowledge graph, it's called, on the side. That's where you have the big block with your information on it. The potential is there for people to contact you before they even make it to your website. So you want to make yourself as visible and as easily contactable as possible. It sounds like an obvious thing, but you would not believe the number of businesses that assume that they're on there. They don't have to do anything. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you there because I can't tell you how many people, how many even clients have come to me and said, okay, my website is built. Yay! Why am I not finding myself when I Google myself?
Yep.
So So you said it's I was taking notes. That's why you kept seeing me go off
sure.
screen.
No, that's fine.
So again, Google the phrase "Google My Business," and it will walk you through the steps of setting up and claiming verifying your company.
Yep.
Now, is this that process where, and again, I've done this for a handful of clients, where a postcard is mailed in some instances?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you'll have to verify your business there. And in fact, I'm gonna post this on our website soon, but on our Facebook page today. And if you want to copy this and share it through your channels as well, on our Facebook page, I posted, I think it was around midnight last night, a link because I got a question from from someone in pediatrics, a friend of mine in South Carolina, on LinkedIn last night. She was not getting that postcard in the mail, and I've seen that happen. I actually had it happen myself. If you're in a business, if you're in a building where there's other businesses, and like say you're in Suite D or Suite F or Room 102 or 222 or whatever, sometimes you may have to request that postcard 2 or 3 times, and sometimes you may never get it because, again, I always defer to the fact that computers were created by human beings, all these processes were created by human beings, and therefore they are inherently flawed. Mm-hmm. And Google shows its flaws sometimes when this happens. So the link that I posted up there is, if you're not getting that card and you're not able to verify your Google My Business listing, that link will bring you to the Google support page where it gives you instructions on, if it's just not working, you can contact them directly.
Oh, very nice. That's very helpful. That's really helpful for people, because I know I've run into that a couple of times. You know, the one yoga studio that I support, exactly as you said, they're on the 2nd story of an office building. Mm-hmm. There's just one common mailbox with like 18 slots, and you know, the postcard just didn't make it. So, but I think there is also another process to verify. Is there still the process to verify by your cell phone with like a verification code that they text to you?
Now, and I admittedly am not clear on why some people can do that and some people can't.
Right.
But sometimes it'll give you the option to do it, and sometimes it won't. And I can't remember that differentiation. I'd be a fool if I tried to explain it now. But you'll know when you go through the process. If it gives you the opportunity to receive a text message, I encourage you to do that. Yeah,
that does seem the faster way to do it.
Definitely is.
And I guess, here's a question, because I know business owners will have this. This all sounds fine and good. How much will this cost my business to do this?
However much time it takes you to do it. That's the best thing about it, is it's free.
Yay.
And, of course, you know, time is money, but it's definitely worth your time. And the same goes for Bing Local and Yahoo Local. A lot of people don't pay attention to Bing and Yahoo, and yes, Google is the biggest game in town. They have about 80% of the search engine market, but Bing's not going to overtake them. I don't see them overtaking them, but Bing is slowly but surely increasing their market share, and it is worth your while to make sure you're showing up in all those places. Because I mean, think about it like this: if you don't show up in those places, you will get nothing from it. Mm-hmm. If you take a little bit of time to show up in those places, you will get something from it. You're not going to get as much from it as you'll get from Google, admittedly. But, you know, do you want a little more, especially if you're a small business? And think about this. Bing is the default search engine for those people who are using Apple products, your iPhones, your iPads, and all that. That's the significance of that, is the difference between people using Androids and people using iPhones. Typically, your Android people are people who they're more geek oriented. They want to make changes on their phone and have some freedoms there. iPhone users, they're okay using the proprietary programs, because Apple, you have an iPhone, you have an iPad, you have to use their processes, their proprietary software. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, my brother schooled me on that a few years ago because I'm an Android user. I'm not big on Apple, but he told me a few years ago and really changed my perception of it. He said, I don't want to modify anything. I'm too busy. I need a piece of equipment that's going to work and do what it says it's going to do. I don't have time to do this modification, that modification. Just give me something that works. The reason I bring this up is because with Bing being the default search engine on those devices, it is less likely that that audience will decide to change their default search engine to Google.
Right.
They'll just use what they're being given. And given the fact that 50% of all organic searches today are mobile, I mean, it's now the field is very even between mobile and desktop. It is well worth your while to be on both Bing and Yahoo Local.
Awesome. Okay, I just want to break in here because, as you saw while Mark was talking, he doesn't have the fancy little graphic thingy at the bottom of the video. So I just want to break in here and say our guest today is Mark.
I have to earn that.
No, you don't. It's because Mac doesn't play nicely with Google+. You don't have to. You're here. You've earned it. Our guest today is Mark Boyd with Mind Development and Design out of Lidditz, Pennsylvania. He is a local colleague of mine, and he's here today talking with us about SEO, or search engine optimization basics, for yoga business owners and other small businesses for that matter. We are an open community here. It could be for all audiences. Keely, did you have questions for Mark?
I actually have two questions from dealing with my clients on this, and Carla knows I shy away from the marketing aspect of it. That's why I'm so glad I have her and then her connections. It just gives me hives, but I'm getting better at it. I'm learning to cope. So my first one is, I'm bombarded all the time by people saying they'll do my SEO. You get spam in your email, you get phone calls as a small business owner. How do you determine who is legit and who is not? If these small business owners are being bombarded, what should they be looking for? What term should they hear the person say to go, okay, they're not a scam artist, they can actually do something and help my business? Other than saying, go to Mark Boyd. That's
well,
given.
Of course,
that's we're happy to do.
Survey
we're happy to say.
Number one answer. I love that question, Keely, because the answer is very simple. You don't even have to take notes. Okay. If somebody calls you up and says they represent Google, say no, you don't, and hang up. Okay. I'm dead serious. Google is not going to call. And in fact, Google's got way more other crap to deal with than calling all of us. Although I'm sure they'll probably create some system where they can call all of us at once at some point.
Right.
Since they have all of our information.
Yeah.
But, I actually did a post on this and a podcast on this a few weeks back, and it's based off of what you're saying here. Big thing to remember, number one thing to remember, is Google does not partner with SEOs. Okay. And I've seen...
And let me jump in here. You're saying SEOs as search engine optimization providers. That's right. You're saying SEOs there.
And thanks for asking that clarification. Yeah, when I say SEOs, then I am talking about practitioners of SEO, myself and whoever else does SEO. But anyone who calls you claiming that they partner with Google or claims that they're with Google and talking to you about SEO, you don't talk to them.
Okay.
And anybody who says they're going to help you with your SEO and they claim that they are a Google certified partner, I did a post and a podcast on this a few weeks back, and this chaps my hide. I mean, because it's such deception. It's taking advantage of the fact that you as a small business owner, we're counting on the fact that you don't know any better. So we can tell you this. We can tell you, hey, I'll help you with your SEO. We're a Google certified partner. Google will not partner with an SEO because that would be probably the biggest conflict of interest in the history of business when you think about it, because SEO is organic search. And you can look up, I mean, you can go to Google and Google the phrase Google certified partner. And you will find out that to be a Google certified partner, it's all about AdWords. You have to pass a test to show that you know how to you properly understand AdWords. And again, pay-per-click and AdWords, when it's done right, we've got a great pay-per-click guy that we work with out of Montreal, Canada. He has a sister who lives over here in York, so he comes to the area sometimes. Fabio, if you're listening to this, you're aces. He is. He's a great guy. He explains his stuff in very simple terms that anybody can understand. And I appreciate it. Given the fact that my family is teachers and shrinks, I appreciate anyone who can take the complicated or what seems complicated and explain it to where anybody can understand. But main thing to remember there is Google will not partner with SEOs. Google certified partner means that you understand pay-per-click and that basically you're spending enough money on pay-per-click across your pay-per-click accounts to where Google's happy with you.
And that's a different pay-per-click is different than SEO. They are separate strategies.
They're separate strategies, and one does not affect the other. If anybody tells you they do, walk away. They don't know what they're talking about. The only thing that PPC and SEO have in common is some of the keywords that you may be bidding on pay-per-click could be some of the same keyword phrases that you're targeting in SEO. There is overlap there, but
that's about it.
Exactly. That the pay-per-click, those are the ad placement based on those keywords. That has nothing to do with organic search.
Good.
Gotcha.
Keely, what was your other question?
My other question is, because I'm a small business and I get bombarded by these people, so once in a while when I do answer the phone, their rates are like outrageous, and it's just not in my budget. So how do I do SEO? I am SEO challenged, but how do I do it on a small budget?
Number one, claim your Google My Business listing, and secondly, you want to think about. I mean, let's face it. The whole search engine optimization game is about what are people typing into the search engines to find you. Set up your Google Analytics account. Google Analytics allows you to track the traffic coming into your website, allows you to, I mean, it will break it down to where not only can you see what your mobile traffic is, you can see specifically which devices are being used, right down to the model number. Not that you really need that, but just to show how granular they can get with it.
Right.
Webmaster Tools is another Google product. Both of these are free. If you have a Google account, you can just Google the term Google Analytics and then Google the term Google Webmaster Tools, and it'll walk you through the process of setting it up. You will need to be in contact with your webmaster because there will be a piece of code that you will get in the process that you just copy and paste it and give it to your webmaster. Or if you do it yourself, it'll tell you where to copy and paste the code. It's a tracking code. But the key to both of those is tracking your traffic, and then in Google Webmaster Tools, you can actually see there's a category called search queries, where you can actually see what people are typing in to find you, and you can see where you rank. And after you've had this set up for, say, a month or two, where there's a little bit of historical data there. There's a button that you can click when you're looking at your keywords. There's a little button that says with change, and you can see for a given time period if you've gone up or down in ranking with certain keywords, and it'll show you where you rank for those keywords across all databases. Because something a lot of people don't realize is that to be number one in Google, you may be number one in Lancaster County, but out in Ohio, you're on page 3.
Right.
And there are a lot of different databases across data centers across the country, and in each one, your aggregate ranking is going to be differently. So, or it's going to be different. So, Webmaster Tools will show you your average ranking across all data centers, and then we'll show where you've moved up, where you've moved down. And this is great because if like give me a keyword group that would be important to you as a yoga studio owner. Like maybe yoga classes.
Yeah, Vinyasa yoga.
Yeah, I was thinking of Vinyasa yoga. I'm trying to think of a
yoga studio.
Yeah, yoga studio or yoga classes. We'll keep it real basic here because you can get down to different. You can break it down to Bikram yoga. You can break it down to whatever different specific kinds of yogas.
I think what happened is Carl and I had like 50 million terms in our heads, and we're like, okay, well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
terms about yoga.
Yeah, it's like yoga. What's that?
Exactly.
But like say we've got Bikram yoga, yoga studio, yoga classes are three of this. So let's say those are three of our key search terms. We can see in Webmaster Tools how we rank for those. Now, you want to make sure that you have those words appearing on your site. Don't go overboard with it, but just make sure that those words do appear on given pages. And if you offer Bikram yoga, have a page that is dedicated to talking about it and what it is, and information on the classes, because that will then be indexed as Bikram yoga.
Okay.
And again, in years past, before SEO really became a business per se, people were just stuffing keywords into their websites to where you couldn't even read a sentence on a website. And that's the whole reason I even have a job. Is because Google said, enough's enough, starting with the Florida update back in, I think it was 2003. And that was really what put SEO on the map. That was where Google said, all right, guys, we got to clean up these search engine results because, you're a construction site, and why are you showing up over here for records and tapes? Because, I mean, it was really getting that ridiculous. So anyway, just make sure those terms appear naturally on your site. And engagement. If there's one thing I could leave everybody with today, it's engagement. Google is factoring in your engagement on your website and your engagement on your social media into their algorithmic equation because it lends validity to your site, and it shows legitimately how much work you're putting into your site and how popular your site is. They can't just trust links anymore because links have been exploited, taken advantage of, yada yada. So at the end of the day, engagement. Make sure you're posting regularly on your blog, and make sure
Amen.
And broadcast those posts on your social media because that draws people back to your website.
Right. See, I'm so glad that I know that I've properly provided some marketing insights.
Thank you.
Yes, it's one of those suggestions that I make to clients. You should be blogging. Hey, you should be blogging. Hey, you need to be posting regular blog posts. I'm sometimes my own worst enemy, so I don't always necessarily post regularly myself, but I'm very glad to hear that is a consistent like DIY thing that could help a yoga studio owner out themselves is regular blog posting.
Yep.
Okay, I have a quick question. I have several clients with their websites were built in the WordPress platform, and there is a plugin called WordPress SEO by Yoast.
Yoast.
I think that is advantageous to use.
Love it. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Because it even tells you how many characters to put in your titles. My guideline for characters in the title, your title and your description are the main areas that you need to be concerned with on the Yoast SEO plugin. Think of it like this: your title is the main link to your site that shows up in the search engine result pages, and the
Okay.
description is what shows up directly underneath that. You can actually manually control that. Your title should keep it under 60 characters. Google doesn't actually count characters in your title. They have a certain size box, and I can't even give you the parameters of the box, but there's a certain size area that those characters have to fit in, and 60 characters is pretty much the threshold there. Keep it at 60 characters or below. Don't stuff your keywords in there, but just pick words that legitimately tell what that particular page is about. And the same with your description. What I typically do with the description is take a part of what is on the page and copy and paste it in there. But I find the part that's on the page that is most descriptive of the page, because Google, if they don't like what you have as your description, they'll just scrape the first couple of lines from whatever's on your page, and your first couple of lines aren't necessarily the most descriptive of what your page is about.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. So it's not the end all be all, but it is a tool that can help you understand where certain keywords, where certain things go with a blog post that will help you with search engine optimization yourself.
Yeah, and think of your title and description as the file drawer. Google is looking for your site. They have to decide first alphabetically, where are you showing up? And even though we're not thinking alphabetically here with the title and description, think of it as a category. And yoga studio, okay. We're looking for Yoga Biz Studio. Okay, yoga studios. That's the drawer that I open. That's your title and your description. That tells them what to open. How far to go to find your website, which file to go through, that's all the information on your website.
Very good.
That is very good. Kaylee, did you have any other questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I know that we're probably going to get a lot of incoming questions from this episode, so we'll just have to invite Mr. Mark back for
I'd be honored.
An SEO part 2 to discuss this. So thank you again to Mark Boyd from Mind Development and Design. They're located in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Their website you can see on our Google event page, minddevelopmentanddesign.com, and there's also a link. I believe what I've actually posted there is a link directly to a recent podcast post that Mark did regarding low-budget SEO options. So I'm certain that he covered several or some of the same thing in this discussion, but then that way you're able to track down Mind's website, and you can track down Mark in case you need an SEO expert to talk to. He would be someone to talk to. So thanks again, Mark.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
So our next episode will be on Thursday, May 21st. I haven't nailed down the topic yet, but just want to make everybody aware of that will be on Thursday, May 21st, again at 10 a.m. Feel free to message us with your show ideas to yogabizstudio@gmail.com. Our website, again, is yogabizstudio.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Yoga Biz Studio.
Thanks, Carla, for providing that information. And thank you to all our audience for joining us today. Our Yoga Biz Studio is brought to you bi-weekly by me, Keely Mitchell of Z Living, and Carla Wilson of Wilson Media Services. Until our next episode, namaste.
Namaste.